Hey guys, I'm Brian. She's Brenda on YouTube at New Life Recovery, joining me every Friday, all the way from Indiana. Give it up for Brenda Bennett.
And Brian. Hey, round of applause. We're here. That's right. It's a great day.
It is Happy Friday, Brenda.
Oh boy, we're just clicking them away, aren't we, sir?
Yeah. So today we are working on chapter 2 of the book, 5 R's of Addiction Recovery. Today we're talking about replacing the lies that we tell ourselves with the truth. And we were talking earlier how there at the spiritual principle, in spirituality, they say, don't be conformed by the patterns of the world, but be transformed by renewing your mind. And, now psychology is catching up with that spiritual principle, that idea that transformation comes with mind renewal. Isn't that the basis of cognitive behavioral therapy? Out of our beliefs come our emotions and actions. So if we want to change the way that we feel, or if we want to change some unwanted action, we got to think about our thoughts. We got to think about what we think about. That's that fancy word, metacognition, thinking about what we think about.
I don't know much about fancy words, but I can tell you, yes, you have to be intentional about it. When that thought goes through your brain, it's going to go through your brain. You can either catch it and hold on to it, or you can throw it away. And
Spit
when
it
we
out.
get those old negative things in your brain, and they just come because those are the routines, those are your thought patterns.
Right.
You just need to throw them away. Just because it goes through your head doesn't mean that you've got to save it.
So let's practice some of those, Brenda, and we'll kind of do a back and forth if that's okay. So,
Oh, you're gonna
so
catch me.
well, here, this is just,
Yeah.
guys, this is practically how we might practice this. So, what are some of the lies I tell myself? What are some of the lies I believe that lead me to or keep me in my addiction? And we began talking about that last week, but the big one, I can quit whenever I want. That keeps me in my addiction because as long as I think I can quit whenever I want, I don't have a problem. So Brenda, when you start having that truth, what's something you might tell yourself to replace that lie with the truth?
Well, first of all, why are you even saying that statement? I can quit whenever I want. Are you questioning yourself? Are you questioning your habits? Is it somebody else you care about? If you are making that statement with all sincerity and belief, then why are you making that statement? If you think you can't quit, what is it going to then? Okay, I can quit whenever I want. Well, I don't want to quit. What's going to make me want to quit? Even just taking it out another sentence or two can
Yeah.
start the process in your head. I'm drinking, I can quit whenever I want. Okay. But every night you go out with your friends, what happens on the nights you stay in? Like you have to really assess your choices when you want to start to change them, I think.
Yeah, I love that. That was so insightful. Just the idea of taking it a step further, and I haven't thought that through like that, but take a step back. Why am I even saying, I can quit whenever I want? What? You know, that might be an indication. And that's a good point, this idea of metacognition, thinking about what we think about. Um, you know, break that down a little bit. What's really going on? Um, Another one is it's not that bad. And I think about pornography addiction, which is my past. Um, Boy, that's a big one. It's not that bad, you know. I'm not hurting anyone else. We could throw that in with the it's not that bad. Um, what's the what's the truth if you're telling yourself, it's not that bad? Kind of minimizing it, Brenda.
Minimizing it, not taking responsibility, not taking accountability. Mine is cigarettes. It doesn't hurt anybody. It only hurts me. Who cares if it hurts me? Well, now see, that's the stinking thinking, if you will, because I am important and the people I come in contact with are
Yeah,
important.
yeah,
But if it really just doesn't hurt anybody, what addiction is really 100% harmless?
right. And as far as you go, your dad, your dad would be heartbroken, if
Yep.
lung cancer or something like that came up because of smoking. All of us
Oh,
at
he
all,
hates cigarettes. He hates it.
yeah, all of us at work, we love you. So that would, yeah,
It's hard, but you got to start with, okay, I can quit whenever I want, and then you try to quit and you realize, okay, I can't. So what's the next step? Then that's the next level. Well, it doesn't really hurt anybody but me.
yeah,
And right now, I don't have any pain. So is it really hurting me? You see,
yeah,
you really got to think about these things: pornography, cigarettes, alcohol. I mean, everything. Hey, even work is an addiction. And even people who work too much have health issues, have family issues. How many very important people have been married 2 or 3 times just because they're sacrificing their family and they don't realize it till their family's gone? Just
yeah,
depends on what you think is important.
yeah, really good. I think this conversation is important. That's really good, Brenda. Um, I don't want to let this broadcast go without talking about um one of the biggest lies that we tell ourselves that I think leads us to or keeps us in addiction is just that lie of invalidation. I'm not good enough. Um, when I was little, I got made fun of for being poor. I've talked about that before. When I was little, I was really down on myself for being in LD class, learning disabled class. And, I've told how the um, principal would come up over the intercom and say, Miss Jones, please send Brian down to LD class. And I had to pick up all my books in front of everybody. And I remember thinking like, I just want to be normal. And this isn't a poor me statement. It's just to say how many of us grew up and we began to believe that lie, I'm not good enough. And maybe it's like some people I know who their parents like would just tell them you're not good enough. How terrible is that? But it's
Or
true.
I never wanted you anyway. I mean, that's equally as
Yeah.
offensive.
Yeah, and we begin to believe that lie that I'm not good enough. When you're constantly comparing yourself, I don't measure up to my sister. She did everything right, I made a lot of mistakes. Um and we begin to believe the lie, I'm not good enough. And that's what triggers, by the way, when I'm driving and someone honks their horn at me and I go from zero to road rage. It really, they're honking the horn uncovered some of those deeper beliefs. You know, it reminded me of this already feeling of I'm not good enough. What in the world is that music? You didn't hear that? There was straight up some country music jumping on here. Hopefully we'll hopefully we'll be able to.
I didn't hear it, but I mean, I'll contribute a yeehaw.
Wow, that was weird. Um,
Okay,
Brenda,
but Brian, then this is then how do you stop that? What is your advice to stop that? Because we know that these tapes come through our head. We know the whole world, everybody is so important. Everybody now is so entitled. Everybody is so more important than everybody else in a time now more than ever. More than
wow.
ever.
Check this out, Brenda. This is so good. And I know this wasn't the direction that we were planning on going, but wow, this is so good. So Dr. Kristen Neff, you've probably heard me talk about her before.
Mhm.
Um, she made an observation that I thought was so powerful. She said, in our country, it's not okay for us to be average. Think about that. What if I
That's right.
said you're an average manager, Brenda? What if I said you're an
Mhm.
average friend? What if someone looked at our show and said, your show's average? Like, we can't, oh, that sucks. I'm an average mom, I'm an average dad, I'm an average counselor. You know, uh, it's not okay in our culture to be average. When in reality, my wife told me the other day, she said, I had a friend who said something and it was so wise. She said, my prayer is that my kids will be average, right?
Yes.
Like, you
Yeah.
don't have to be president, but and so the idea in our culture, we have to be extraordinary in order to be anything. It comes down to what you talk about a lot. I think self-love, self-forgiveness. But really, where does my value come from? Because if my value comes from the car that I drive and the house that I live in, the job that I have, and my status of my relationship, what happens when I don't have that car or I lose my job or I lose that relationship? Your value has to come from something different. Now, in counseling, you'll often hear people say, We have inherent goodness. You're a human being. You're inherently good. And there's truth to that. We all have, you're the best person in the world at something, or certainly the best person in this room at something. Think about that. You're the best person in your family at something, right? We all have innate
A
goodness.
natural talent.
Yeah, gifts and talents. Um, we have immeasurable worth, innate greatness, unlimited potential. If you take a look at someone like Oprah Winfrey, came from nothing, raped as a young woman, tragic life, became one of the most, um, you know, the biggest entertainers in the world, wealthiest woman in the world. We've all got unlimited potential. If she could do it, so do we. And there's
If that's
this,
what you want to do. If that's what you want to do.
yeah,
So that was her journey. I just want to piggyback on what you said. Some people call Indiana the flyover state. You want to know why? Nobody's put importance on it. Just like what you said. They people who call Indiana a flyover state has discounted a whole state, everything that we produce, everybody that lives here, because it's not important enough.
Brenda, I'm going to
But
say something right now that's going to make this video not able for me to share at work, but that's okay.
yeah,
Um, there's spiritually speaking, do you believe in God? And
yes.
if there's a
Oh,
God, if
sorry.
there's a God, I mean, the Bible talks about, Christianity talks about the idea that God loves us so much that he gave his son for us. There's nothing more valuable than that. Like, I wanted to have a relationship with you so bad. I loved you so much that, um, because of justice, God is just. I know some of you guys don't like me preaching on here, but if God is just, justice requires punishment for sin. But if God is love, he said, I love you so much, I take that punishment that you deserve. If um And so Jesus took the punishment that we deserved. He died on the cross so that we could have life, so that God could reconcile his justice and his love. That means you are so important that the God of the universe said, Brenda, I deeply love you. Brenda, I want to have a relationship with you. I'm going to give my son for you. Brian, I love you so much. Member out there struggling with addiction and compulsive behaviors, pornography like me. Um, God says, I love you so much. Like, that's where our value truly comes from. We believe I'm not good enough, and that leads me to, you know, try to anesthetize the pain with porn or drinking or drugs. The truth is, I'm profoundly loved by God.
So since we're here, Brian, who led you to the Lord? How did you find God?
So
Did
through,
you grow up in a family? Did a friend take you to church? Just
yeah,
just
friends, and
okay, so a
youth
friend
for
took me to church
Christ.
too.
Hmm.
A friend took me to one church service. One. Okay. I went to shut her up. Just shut up. I don't want to hear about this anymore. I'm going to go with you because you're my friend. You're my best friend and I love you. I'm going with you. And why was she harassing me? Because I was her best friend and she loved me. So I want to encourage people to go ahead and just listen to that friend. If you want somebody to love you, you're going to have to love somebody else. If you don't know how to love you, you have to look at other examples. I am all about self love because I don't know how to do it. I have to learn every day. I was not taught. If it was not for my friend and me wanting the relationship after 10 years with that friend, I never would have followed her into that church. I promise you. Now, did my life change that night? Yes. Did I think it was going to? No, because I know everything. Sometimes to change our heart, we have
Yeah,
to surrender that we don't know everything. And if somebody loves you and somebody's trying to talk to you, listen to them. If that's the only way you can reciprocate love, even if you disagree with everything they're saying, you can still listen to them. I disagreed with everything she said, but I loved her. I listened to her. And if the worst trouble we're going to get in tonight is going to church, bring it. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
it was great. And
that's
she
life
did change
changing.
my life. And I had to get on a plane and go back to where I was. I was just home. I was just visiting her. And
Yeah,
then I had to figure it out myself. But in that, it's very hard to love yourself if nobody's ever told you. And if people are saying, well, God loves you, but you have no idea of what that even is or manifests like or how to connect with it. I didn't connect with him immediately. I had to connect with him vicariously through a friend.
Mhm.
So not
So,
to I'm sorry about the tangent, but yes.
well, I started it. And guys, if you're interested, if you know me from counseling, this book, 5 Hours of Addiction Recovery, it's not a spiritual book. It doesn't bring up the Bible, anything like that. That's my personal conviction. I believe in Jesus and um, his death and resurrection, and has been a big part of my life. But shouldn't be afraid to talk about our spirituality either, right, Brenda? I mean, um, um, it's part of who we are, and one thing that we want to be is authentic. So definitely went in a different direction, but it's a good place to wrap it up here, guys. Replacing the lies we believe with the truth is a big step, the first R in addiction recovery. So guys, I'm Brian, she's Brenda, on YouTube at New Life Recovery. We love you. God bless you.
A
Until
lot.
next time. Be well.